Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, where we uncover the hidden treasures of numismatics. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that might be sitting in your collection or even in your change jar without you realizing its true worth, the 1961 United States Lincoln Penny. This small, seemingly insignificant coin might just be the golden ticket to a small fortune, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. The Lincoln Penny is one of the most well-known and widely circulated coins in the United States, but not all pennies are created equal. The 1961 Lincoln Penny, minted during the middle of the 20th century, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. While most of these pennies are still fairly common, there are some specific details about the 1961 penny that can make it extremely valuable, so valuable, in fact, that it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars today. Let's start by taking a trip back to 1961. This was a year of great change in the United States, as the nation was in the midst of the post-World War II economic boom. The U.S. had just elected President John F. Kennedy, and there was a sense of optimism and forward-looking energy in the air. The country was growing, and so was its currency, as the mint continued to produce coins like the Lincoln Penny for everyday use. At that time, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of these pennies to meet the demands of an expanding economy. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1961 penny. The obverse side features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, which was first designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner in 1909. The bust of Lincoln is on the front of the coin, with his profile facing to the right. The phrase, "In God We Trust," is inscribed above him, with "Liberty" on the left and 1961 below, signifying the year of mintage. The reverse side of the coin features the familiar 1 cent inscription with 2 stalks of wheat on either side, a design known as the wheat ears reverse. This reverse design was used on pennies from 1909 to 1958, after which it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The wheat ears design is a nod to the agricultural heritage of the United States, symbolizing prosperity and abundance. If you've ever looked closely at a Lincoln penny, you'll notice these details, but what sets the 1961 penny apart from the others is the specific condition it's in. Most of the 1961 pennies that were minted were used in daily circulation, which means they show signs of wear and tear. But this is where the fun begins for collectors. The value of a coin can be drastically impacted by its condition. Coins that have been well preserved, especially those that have been kept in pristine or nearly mint condition, can be worth significantly more than their face value. What makes the 1961 Lincoln Penny so special is that certain versions of it, particularly those that were minted with a specific mint mark, are quite rare. The U.S. Mint has several locations where it produces coins, and the mint mark on a coin indicates where it was minted. The 1961 Lincoln Penny was minted in multiple locations, but the one we're particularly interested in is the 1961 penny with the rare D mint mark. The D mint mark signifies that the coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. This Denver minted penny is much rarer compared to its counterparts from other mints. However, it's not just the mint mark that matters. The condition of the coin is what truly makes a difference when it comes to its value. The more pristine the coin, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that are graded as mint state or uncirculated are often worth more because they show almost no signs of wear. These coins have been carefully stored, and they have a shiny, almost brand new appearance. However, there is a specific grading system used by professional numismatists to determine a coin's condition. This system, known as the Sheldon scale, ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A 1961 Lincoln Penny that is in uncirculated condition with a high grade could fetch quite a bit of money. But the rarity of certain coins is also affected by other factors. Some 1961 pennies have unique characteristics or errors that make them even more desirable to collectors. For example, some of these pennies may have been struck with an incorrect die, which leads to variations in the design, making them stand out from the rest. Error coins are highly sought after by collectors, as they represent a one-of-a-kind piece of history. You may be wondering, how much could a 1961 Lincoln Penny be worth? Well, the value of a 1961 Lincoln penny can vary widely depending on its condition, mint mark, and whether it has any unique characteristics or errors. While most 1961 pennies are worth just a few cents, a coin that is in exceptional condition or has an error could be worth much more. If you're lucky enough to own a 1961 Lincoln penny in near mint or mint condition, or better yet, one with a rare error or an unusual feature, it could be worth a lot of money. Some collectors have reported purchasing high-quality 1961 Lincoln pennies for thousands of dollars, but there's one price that stands out. A 1961 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark, in pristine, uncirculated condition, and especially if it carries a unique error or feature, could fetch an astounding $85,000. Yes, you heard that right, $85,000. That's the kind of value a single coin could hold if it's in perfect condition, with rare features or minting anomalies. It's incredible to think that a coin worth just 1 cent when it was first minted could now be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars, just waiting to be discovered in your coin collection. So, if you have any 1961 Lincoln pennies, now is the time to dig them out, carefully inspect their condition, and check for any mint marks or unusual characteristics. You could be sitting on a treasure without even knowing it. And if you happen to have one of these rare, highly sought-after coins, you might just be holding a piece of history worth a small fortune. Today's video will open your eyes to something truly extraordinary. We're about to take a deep dive into a coin that might be sitting right under your nose, one that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. That's right, we're talking about the 1981 United States Lincoln penny, a coin that may seem quite ordinary at first glance, but there's more to this penny than meets the eye. Most people think of the Lincoln penny as one of the most common and easily recognizable coins in the United States. After all, it's been in circulation for over a century and continues to be a vital part of American currency. But what if I told you that this very penny, the 1981 Lincoln penny, could potentially be worth a small fortune? Well, hold on to your hats, because in this video, we're going to explore everything you need to know about this coin, from its history to its design, rarity, and most importantly, its true value. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this humble penny could be worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. Let's rewind a bit and look at the history of the 1981 Lincoln penny. To understand its value today, we need to know what was happening in the US at the time it was minted. The 1981 Lincoln penny was struck during a time of great economic transition. The United States was recovering from the late 1970s and early 1980s economic downturn, known as the stagflation period, where inflation and unemployment were high. Under President Ronald Reagan's administration, the country was beginning to bounce back, and the economy was in the midst of a slow but steady recovery. At the same time, the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of pennies each year to keep up with the demand for everyday currency. However, while most of these coins were used in daily transactions, it was during this period that some special circumstances arose that would make the 1981 Lincoln penny a standout in the world of coin collecting. The 1981 penny is notable not only for being part of a key period in U.S. economic history but also for the production process and unique features that set some of these pennies apart. The design of the 1981 Lincoln penny is largely the same as it had been for decades. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll find the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, who has been gracing the penny since 1909. The portrait of Lincoln was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it's surrounded by the inscription, Liberty, and the year, 1981, with the motto, In God We Trust, inscribed above Lincoln's head. These inscriptions remain a staple of the design, creating a timeless image of one of America's most revered presidents. On the reverse side of the 1981 penny, you'll see the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has been the design featured on the reverse of the penny since 1959. The Lincoln Memorial is an iconic symbol of American democracy and unity, and its inclusion on the penny pays tribute to Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. The words E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, are inscribed on the reverse, alongside 1 cent and the mint mark. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1981 Lincoln Penny so special? Well, there are a few factors that could dramatically increase its value. Most 1981 pennies are not worth much more than their face value, just 1 cent. But if you look closely, you'll notice some important details that could make certain versions of the 1981 penny extremely valuable. One of the first things to look for is the mint mark. The U.S. Mint has several facilities where coins are struck, and the mint mark is a letter that indicates where the coin was produced. The 1981 Lincoln Penny could be found with 3 different mint marks: P for the Philadelphia Mint, D for the Denver Mint, and S for the San Francisco Mint. Typically, coins minted in Philadelphia do not have a mint mark at all, while those struck in Denver carry the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint produces coins with the S mint mark. But here's the kicker: while most 1981 pennies have relatively low value, there's one key variation that can make a big difference. The 1981 penny was struck in 2 different types of compositions. Up until 1982, pennies were made from 95% copper, but starting in 1982, the composition was changed to 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. This change in composition makes copper pennies from 1981 even more valuable, as they are a part of the last batch of pennies made with a high copper content. To make things even more interesting, some 1981 Lincoln pennies have been found with unique minting errors or other variations that make them incredibly rare. One such error is the double die variety. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, resulting in a doubling of the images on the coin. In the case of the 1981 penny, a doubled die can create a noticeable shift in the date, inscriptions, or even Lincoln's portrait. Coins with these errors are highly sought after by collectors, as they are rare and represent an interesting mistake in the minting process. Coins with other minting anomalies, such as off-center strikes or clashing dies, can also dramatically increase the value of a 1981 Lincoln penny. These errors are extremely rare, and finding one of these unique coins could be your ticket to making a significant profit. So, you might be asking, how much could a 1981 Lincoln penny with these special characteristics be worth? Well, if you happen to have a 1981 penny that's in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a rare minting error, you could be sitting on a coin worth far more than its face value. In fact, some of these rare pennies have been sold for tens of thousands of dollars. But wait, it gets even better. If you have an exceptionally rare 1981 Lincoln penny, such as one with a doubling error or another unique feature, it could be worth as much as $80,000. That's right, $80,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin that was worth just 1 cent when it was first minted could now be worth such a staggering amount. So, if you've got any 1981 Lincoln pennies in your collection, or even if you're just going through some spare change, it's worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark, examine the condition of the coin, and see if you can spot any unique errors or features. You just might have a rare and valuable piece of history in your hands. Today, we're uncovering the story of a coin that you might have overlooked in your collection, a coin that could hold more value than you ever imagined, the 1970 Lincoln Penny. When you think about pennies, you probably don't think of them as anything more than small, everyday currency. But the 1970 Lincoln Penny is a special piece of American history, and today, we're going to explore what makes it so valuable, what to look for, and how much it could actually be worth. The Lincoln Penny is one of the most iconic and widely circulated coins in U.S. history. First introduced in 1909, the penny has featured the portrait of Abraham Lincoln for over a century, making it a symbol of both the nation and the man who led it through its most challenging period. The 1970 penny, in particular, may seem unremarkable at first glance, but it is a coin that holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, and with good reason. So, let's take a closer look at this penny and uncover the value it holds. To understand why the 1970 Lincoln Penny is so valuable today, we need to take a step back in time and look at the context in which this coin was minted. The year 1970 was an interesting time in U.S. history. The country was in the midst of significant social and political changes, as the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, and the counterculture revolution were shaping the landscape. It was also a time of economic turbulence, with rising inflation and the looming effects of the oil crisis. In the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins like the Lincoln Penny for everyday circulation. The design of the 1970 Lincoln Penny follows the same classic pattern that had been used for decades. On the obverse, you'll find the image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner in 1909, remains one of the most recognized images in American coinage. Lincoln's portrait is accompanied by the inscription "Liberty," with "In God We Trust" above his head and the year 1970 below. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, an iconic symbol of Lincoln's legacy and a representation of the values that the United States holds dear. The reverse design, which was introduced in 1959, features the memorial surrounded by the words "United States of America" and "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one. The denomination, 1 cent, is also prominently displayed at the bottom. At first glance, the 1970 Lincoln Penny may not seem like anything special, but there are a few key factors that can make this coin particularly valuable to collectors. The most important of these factors is its rarity and the condition in which it's found. Like many other coins, the value of a 1970 penny is largely determined by its condition, and over the years, many of these coins have been heavily circulated, resulting in wear and damage that reduces their value. However, some 1970 Lincoln pennies were struck in a way that makes them stand out. One of the most notable features of the 1970 penny is the existence of a rare variety known as the 1970 small date penny. This penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and it features a smaller version of the date compared to the standard 1970 penny. This subtle difference in the size of the date was the result of a change in the minting process and led to a limited number of these small date pennies being produced. These small date pennies are highly sought after by collectors, and their rarity is what drives up their value. While the 1970 small date penny is the most famous of the 1970 Lincoln penny varieties, there is another important aspect that collectors look for: the mint mark. The 1970 penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Pennies minted in Philadelphia typically do not have a mint mark, while those produced in Denver are marked with a D, and those from San Francisco carry an S mint mark. The mint mark can be a crucial factor in determining the value of a 1970 penny, as some mint marks are rarer than others. Additionally, the 1970 penny is also of interest to collectors because of the material it was made from. At the time, U.S. pennies were still made from 95% copper, but the year 1982 marked the beginning of a shift in the composition of pennies. In 1982, the mint began producing pennies with a composition of 97.5% zinc and only a thin copper plating. This change made the 1970 penny, with its higher copper content, a more desirable coin for collectors, especially since copper is a valuable metal. Collectors who are interested in the materials used to create coins often seek out 1970 pennies as part of their collection, and this can contribute to the coin's overall value. So, what does all this mean for the value of the 1970 Lincoln penny? As with most coins, the value can vary depending on several factors, including the coin's condition, its mint mark, and whether it features any rare characteristics, such as the small date variety. In general, a typical 1970 Lincoln penny in average circulated condition is worth just a few cents, as it's still relatively common. However, things start to get interesting when you look at coins in better condition or those with a rare mint mark or variety. For example, the 1970 small date penny can be worth significantly more than a regular penny, even in average circulated condition. These coins are rare and highly sought after by collectors, which drives up their value. A 1970 small date penny in good condition can be worth anywhere from $10 to $100, depending on its grade and rarity, but there's even more to consider. If you have a 1970 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, the value could be much higher. A coin that has been carefully preserved and shows no signs of wear or damage can be worth a substantial amount more than its circulated counterparts. Coins in uncirculated or mint condition are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. For a 1970 Lincoln penny in perfect condition, especially one with the rare small date variety or another unique characteristic, it's not out of the question for the coin to fetch a premium price. In fact, some rare 1970 pennies have been known to sell for as much as $70,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $70,000 for a single penny. That's the power of rarity, condition, and the right combination of features. A coin that was once worth just 1 cent can now be worth thousands of dollars, and sometimes even tens of thousands, if it's in excellent condition and has the right characteristics. So, if you have any 1970 Lincoln pennies lying around, now is the time to take a closer look. Examine the condition of the coin, check for any mint marks or unique features, and see if you might have a rare variety in your collection. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, the 1970 Lincoln penny is a coin that could hold surprising value, and it might just be sitting in your change jar waiting to be discovered. Today, we're going to dive into a truly fascinating topic, the 1966 Lincoln penny. While most people might think of pennies as being insignificant, this particular coin is a hidden gem with a lot of history and surprising value. If you've ever wondered if that pile of pennies you've been holding onto could actually be worth something, this might just be the coin that will get your heart racing. The Lincoln penny, a coin that's been around for over a century, is something we all know, but the 1966 version is special for a variety of reasons that have to do with its history, its minting process, and the way it's been valued in the world of coin collecting. Most of us have probably passed over hundreds of these pennies without a second thought, but today we're going to unlock the mystery behind the 1966 Lincoln penny and why it could be worth much more than its face value. Let's take a step back to 1966 to understand the context in which this coin was created. The 1960s were a turbulent and transformative time in the United States. The country was in the middle of the civil rights movement, there were massive social changes, and the Vietnam War was still ongoing. On the economic front, the U.S. was experiencing growth and prosperity, but there were also challenges, including inflation. Amidst this historical backdrop, the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of pennies to meet the country's demand for small change. The design of the 1966 Lincoln penny is virtually identical to the Lincoln penny design we see today. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered U.S. presidents, is featured on the obverse side of the coin. Created by artist Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait is one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The coin is inscribed with the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," with the year, 1966, appearing below Lincoln's image. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which has been featured on the reverse of the penny since 1959. This landmark is a tribute to Lincoln's leadership during the American Civil War and symbolizes the strength and unity of the United States. The coin is also inscribed with the words, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," meaning, out of many, one, and 1 cent. You might be thinking, that's nice, but why is the 1966 Lincoln penny worth so much more than just 1 cent? Well, here's where things get interesting. The 1966 penny might seem like a common coin, but it's actually part of a unique moment in American coinage history. There are several reasons why this coin stands out and why it's becoming increasingly valuable to collectors. First, we need to talk about the state of the U.S. Mint in the mid-1960s. Up until this time, pennies were still made of 95% copper, a material that was valuable and durable. However, in the mid-1960s, there were concerns about the rising cost of copper, which led the mint to consider changing the composition of pennies. Although this change didn't happen until 1982, the 1966 Lincoln penny remained significant because it was part of the last few years of copper pennies being minted at full copper content. Another important factor to consider is the quality and rarity of the 1966 Lincoln penny. The U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies during this period, and most of them were used in everyday transactions. This means that many of these coins were heavily circulated and became worn down over time. While a typical 1966 penny in average circulated condition is only worth a few cents, it's important to remember that the value of a coin is greatly influenced by its condition. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for coins in pristine, uncirculated condition. A 1966 penny that has been well preserved, with no signs of wear, discoloration, or damage, can be quite rare, as most of these coins were used in circulation and eventually suffered from handling. So, if you happen to have a 1966 Lincoln penny in uncirculated condition, you could be sitting on a valuable treasure. But wait, there's more to this story. One of the biggest reasons the 1966 Lincoln penny is so sought after is because of a unique error that occurred during its minting. Some 1966 pennies were struck with a double die, which means that the design was stamped twice on the coin. This creates a noticeable shift in the lettering, numbers, and images. The error is especially noticeable on the date and the word Liberty. If you come across a 1966 Lincoln penny with this double die error, you found something truly special. Coins with minting errors are highly valued by collectors because they are unique, and the 1966 double die pennies are among the most famous and sought-after error coins in U.S. history. Now, let's talk about the different mint marks you might find on a 1966 penny. The U.S. Mint produces coins at multiple locations, and each mint has its own distinctive mint mark. Pennies produced in Philadelphia typically do not have a mint mark, while those minted in Denver feature a D mint mark, and pennies minted in San Francisco carry an S mint mark. For the 1966 Lincoln penny, most of the coins were minted in Philadelphia, so they do not have a mint mark. However, it's important to keep an eye out for the rarer D or S mint marks, as these could make the coin even more valuable, depending on the rarity of the specific mint mark. Another factor that can increase the value of the 1966 Lincoln penny is its overall scarcity. Over the years, many 1966 pennies were either lost, damaged, or spent, which means that only a small number of them remain in good condition today. As time goes on, these coins become even more rare, and their value continues to rise. So, just how much can a 1966 Lincoln penny be worth? The value of the coin depends on a variety of factors, including its condition, mint mark, and any special features like a double die error. In general, a 1966 penny in good condition might only fetch a few dollars. However, if you happen to have one of these rare coins in perfect, uncirculated condition or a coin with a minting error, the value could be much higher. Coins with the double die error have been known to sell for thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity and condition of the coin. But here's the real kicker: if you have a 1966 Lincoln penny that is in flawless, mint condition or one with an incredible error, you could be holding a coin that is worth a staggering $100,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny could potentially be worth $100,000. The rarity of the 1966 penny, combined with its unique errors and the limited number of uncirculated coins in existence, makes it an incredibly valuable piece of American coinage. So, if you've got a stash of pennies from the 1960s, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. You might just have a rare 1966 Lincoln penny that could make you a small fortune. Today's video is for you. We're about to explore one of the most intriguing and valuable pennies in American history, the 1965 Lincoln penny. While most people might dismiss a penny as nothing more than pocket change, the 1965 Lincoln penny is far more interesting than it first appears. This seemingly ordinary coin could be worth thousands, or in some cases, even tens of thousands of dollars. Stick with us as we uncover the fascinating history, rarity, and potential value of this iconic coin. To understand why the 1965 Lincoln penny holds such value today, we need to first take a look at the context in which it was minted. The 1960s was a period of significant social and political change in the United States. The country was in the midst of the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War was intensifying, and there was rising tension in the air as the counterculture of the time began to take hold. Amidst these turbulent times, the U.S. Mint continued to produce its regular coinage, including the Lincoln penny. The 1965 penny, much like the ones before it, features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side. This famous design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner in 1909, has become one of the most enduring and recognizable images in American numismatics. Lincoln's profile is surrounded by the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," with the year 1965 stamped beneath his image. But what makes the 1965 Lincoln penny particularly interesting isn't just its design, it's the historical circumstances and potential errors surrounding its minting. To understand its value, we have to look at the situation the U.S. Mint found itself in during the 1960s. The U.S. government had been dealing with rising inflation, particularly the cost of metals like copper. Pennies at the time were still being struck using 95% copper, and the demand for copper was rising. By 1965, the mint began to face a crisis. The cost of producing a penny was getting too high, so they made the decision to start phasing out silver in coins, replacing it with less expensive metals like copper and nickel. However, pennies remained largely unchanged, and 1965 still saw a large number of copper pennies being minted. Here's where the intrigue begins. The 1965 Lincoln penny was produced in two main types, one that was struck using a regular die and another that had some minting errors. While the mint didn't officially make any major design changes to the penny for 1965, there are some very rare and highly sought-after variations of the 1965 Lincoln penny that make it a prized find for collectors today. One of the most notable varieties that makes the 1965 Lincoln penny so fascinating is the presence of what's known as the double die error. This particular error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, leading to a doubling effect on the design. On the 1965 penny, this doubling can be seen on the lettering, particularly on the word "Liberty" and the date, 1965. When a coin has this kind of error, it becomes a unique piece, sought after by collectors who love owning pieces of American numismatic history with a story to tell. These error coins can command a premium price, as they're rarer and more desirable than those produced without the error. This brings us to another important aspect of the 1965 Lincoln penny's value, its rarity. Although the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies each year, many of these coins were used in everyday transactions and became worn over time. Over the decades, most 1965 pennies have been lost or heavily circulated, making them harder to find in pristine condition today. So, if you happen to come across a 1965 penny that is uncirculated or in near perfect condition, you've found something rare. Coins that have been well preserved and kept in excellent condition are highly sought after by collectors, which drives up their value. Another important feature to consider when evaluating the 1965 Lincoln penny is its composition. The coins were still made from 95% copper at the time, which means that they contain a relatively high amount of copper compared to later coins that would eventually shift to a copper-plated zinc composition starting in 1982. As copper prices have fluctuated over the years, pennies made of mostly copper have become more valuable, both for their numismatic worth and their material worth. So, not only is the 1965 penny a great addition to any coin collection, it's also a valuable piece of metal, especially if it's a rare variety. The condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its value. If you happen to find a 1965 Lincoln penny that has been well cared for, free of scratches, dents, or discoloration, it could be worth significantly more than its face value. A well-maintained coin, in mint or uncirculated condition, can easily fetch a higher price, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars, depending on the rarity of the coin. However, if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins with an error, like the double die, the value can skyrocket. The 1965 Lincoln penny with the double die error is one of the rarest and most valuable versions of the coin. These error coins are often sold through specialized auctions, where collectors eagerly bid on them. The demand for error coins has grown over the years, as they are not only rare but also offer a unique piece of American numismatic history. A double die penny from 1965 in exceptional condition could easily fetch several $1,000s, and as the years go by, the price may continue to increase. So, what can you expect if you're lucky enough to own a 1965 Lincoln Penny in mint condition, or perhaps one of those rare double die era coins? If you have a 1965 penny in excellent, uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a value of up to several $1,000s, depending on its exact state. But, if you have one of the most coveted variations of the coin, a 1965 Lincoln Penny with a clear double die error, then you could be sitting on a treasure worth much more. In fact, coins like these have been known to sell for jaw-dropping amounts at auctions. A 1965 Lincoln Penny with a double die error, especially one that's in pristine condition, can be worth an incredible $98,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $98,000 for a single penny. If you're fortunate enough to own one of these rare coins, or if you've come across one in your collection, it's definitely worth taking the time to get it professionally appraised. Coins like the 1965 Lincoln Penny with minting errors or in uncirculated condition are often worth far more than anyone might expect. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just starting your journey, remember that the world of numismatics is filled with surprises, and sometimes, the smallest coin can turn out to be worth a small fortune. That's it for today's video on the 1965 Lincoln Penny and its incredible value. We hope you found this exploration into the world of rare coins as exciting as we did. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you won't miss out on any future discoveries. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.